Hey, welcome to episode 3 of the mission overview series. This time we're going to be looking at mission 5, which is the evacuate/pillage mission. So in this mission, the wizard's Conclave, who's been living in these ruins, is going to be attempting to gather up all of their essential belongings, magical books, potions, those sorts of things, and head for the hills because a large mob of peasants are coming up from the village below, and they're certain that their crop failures this year could only be due to the wizards living in the area. So they're intent on pillaging the area, destroying everything they can get their hands on while the wizards try to escape with it. As you can see, we already have the board set up here and we're ready to go, but we'll take a minute to just explain what the setup looks like. In this mission, player A, who will be the wizards in this case, set up within 2 inches of the center of the board. Player B, on the other hand, which in this case is the mob of peasants, sets up within 3 inches of any 2 opposing corners. So in this case, you can see that we have the peasants set up here, and then the opposing corner over here, while we have the wizards set up right here in the center. The primary objectives of this mission are for both teams to try to reach the same objective markers, but do something different with them. So player A, which again is the wizards, will be picking up the objective markers and moving them to the edge of the board and dropping them. Whereas the peasant mobs, as player B, will be attempting to go and just destroy them. So when a character reaches base contact with one of these objective markers, which you can see are spread around the board near the quadrants and then scattered d6 inches, they can use the interact free action in order to pick it up or destroy it, as the case may be. As you may remember, you can use the interact free action once per activation per character. You can see that we've used different terrain elements such as these crates and chests. Over here we have the lectern with a big spell book on it. Over here we have some bookshelves, and those are just good ways to give the objective markers a little bit more narrative flavor. All right, so here in the center you can see we have the wizards deployed. We've got Harlow. We have Sven, who's a dwarf helper of the wizards, Hector, Igor, who's over here, you can't really see him too well, but he's a nice little classic Igor model there, and then Hilda. In this corner we can see we have one portion of the peasant mob, again player B. They're led by Hans, who is a folk hero, self-declared, who found a magical sword in the woods and now thinks that he needs to lead the peasants in some sort of quest. So he's carrying that out. He's easily the most powerful character on the peasants' side. Then we have Zane, who's just a regular old farmer, Squirrely Sam, another regular old farmer, and Ol Yeller. They've all just got pitchforks and bare-bone stats. So we'll see what they can do. The pitchforks, we're just using the stat line for a spear because it's a similar polearm type weapon. And then finally we have Slim, who's an archer, and he's gonna attempt to cover the field from afar. We'll see if that works for them. Then over on the opposite corner here, we can see that we have the other half of the peasant mob. We have Dill, another farmer, Scruff, a dog, and Sal, who's another archer, and then Burly Bill, who's the town drunk, here to help out. So by splitting up the forces like this, the peasants have an easy chance to get around the board. One of the asymmetrical portions of this is the fact that the peasants, or player B, need to destroy 6 of these objective markers, which again they do by getting in base contact and using the interact free action. The wizards, on the other hand, only need to get 4 of them, but they need to get them to the board edge and then drop them off. So by spreading out like this, obviously you could try to deploy everybody in one corner, but taking advantage of their superior numbers and then being able to come at it from 2 sides gives them a decent chance at getting to some of these objective markers. All right, you'll also notice that we have put around 6 chests. So those will just be regular old item chests that players can pick up using the interact free action. It's worth noting that chests use the interact free action to open and draw an item, and objective markers also require an interact action in order to use them or flip them or whatever in this scenario. So you can't do both in one turn. So that's just something worth keeping in mind. Off to the side here, we have our stash of tokens, our item deck to draw when crates are opened, and all of our dice. We're also going to be rolling our dice in this box so that hopefully we can keep track of them and see the results pretty easily. Here we have the character cards for the Wizard's Conclave. We'll look at those more in depth, but they've got a variety of magical powers, and their helpers, Igor and Sven, both have traits that help them move more quickly. And taking up significantly more board space, we've got the peasant mob, which numbers 9 to the Wizard's 5 characters. And again, the bulk of them are just regular old peasants. Scruff's a really low point dog. Bill is the town drunk, also not too great. But they've got a couple of decent archers, as well as Hans to lead them. So we'll see how this goes. All right, so to start the mission, we're gonna go ahead and do an opposed aptitude test between the characters in each warband with the highest aptitude. For the peasants, that's definitely gonna be Hans with his aptitude of 6, And for the wizards, all 3 of the wizards have an aptitude of 8. So as long as one of them's still alive, they'll be using that aptitude. All right, so we're gonna roll these. We'll start with the wizards, and we're looking for whoever rolls the most hits. All right, so the wizards only got 2 hits, but they grabbed 3 determination tokens. Anytime you roll that D result, you're gonna be able to collect that. So we'll go ahead and collect those 3 determination tokens and put them over near the wizards cards, since any of them can use it, not just the one that rolled. And then we'll remember that they got those 2 hits. Then we'll roll for Hans, who only has 6. Ooh, Hans got a lot more hits, but no determination. But that's 2, 4, 5 hits, so that means the peasants will start off the first turn with the first activation. All right, so with the peasants taking the first turn, they can choose any of their characters to activate, but we're gonna start with Scruff because he has the fast trait, and in a mission where speed is of the essence and we need to get to those objective markers as quick as we can, that's gonna be really helpful. So we're gonna go ahead and start with Scruff. Anytime he uses a run or charge action, he'll get to move an extra 2 inches for free. So to start with, Scruff can do his move as part of his activation and go up to 4 inches. So we'll measure that right to there. And then he can do another 4 inches, but again, because of his run trait, he'll get to go 6. So we can measure 6 more, and that gets Scruff all the way up to here. All right, that brings the first activation to conclusion. All right, so on to the wizard's first activation, and seeing that Scruff is coming running across there, Harlow's gonna go ahead and activate and head that direction. So he can move for 4 inches, as everybody can during their activation, and that'll get him up to here. And he's not gonna make it to the objective this turn, unfortunately. It's a little too far. Although actually, yeah, this is not bad. So the wizards, you may remember, earned 3 determination tokens during their first roll for the opposed aptitude test. So in this case, they're gonna go ahead and spend those 3 determination tokens to get an extra burst of 2 inches of speed. So Harlow will spend that. That'll allow him to go 6 inches, which will get him to this objective marker, and he's gonna go ahead and pick it up. So in this mission, when they pick it up, we just flip over the marker. So because Harlow used his 3 determination in order to get that extra burst of speed, we'll go ahead and take those and put them back into the supply. Because the objective markers stay on the table when player A's characters pick them up, we're gonna be indicating who's carrying what by just putting a D6 on their character card. If they pick up an additional objective, we'll just change the number on that to indicate how many objectives they're currently carrying. As we move back over to the peasant's activation, Sal's gonna go ahead and take her turn. As she sees Harlow dash over to that obstacle, she lines him up in her bow sights and lets off an arrow. Because she's choosing not to move this activation, she'll be able to place one of her action dice with a green aim dice. This will improve her accuracy and make it more likely that she hits. Also, her bow is better at longer ranges, so by choosing to stay where she is, she'll actually be more likely to hit her target. So if we go ahead and measure and see how far that is, we can see that from Sal over to Harlow is just over 15 inches, almost 16. So that's gonna be well within our medium range. Medium is anything between 8 inches and 18 inches, long range is anything over 18 inches, and short range is anything closer than 8 inches. So in order to make this ranged attack, we need to look and see what Sal's ranged stat is. In this case, it's 5, which means that we'll roll 5 white dice in order to see if she hits. However, because she aimed, we're gonna replace one of those action dice with a green bonus die, which will improve her chances of hitting. And then we need to look and see what Harlow's armor is, which is 2. So we'll be rolling 2 yellow penalty dice, which may cancel the results of Sal's action dice. We'll also notice that Sal's bow, at medium range, which we just measured, needs 2 successes. Before we roll Sal's attack, we also want to add 1 red penalty dice to Harlow's die pool. This is because he's behind cover, so that means that he's partially obscured from Sal's point of view. This will make it a little bit more likely that he defends himself successfully against this attack. Alright, well, in a stroke of very bad luck, it looks like Harlow has become bloodied. If we look, he has rolled no results on his penalty defense dice, but Sal has rolled 3 hits, which is equal to or greater than her target number of 2 at medium range. And then in order to see what damage is done, we compare those pierce results to Harlow's armor of 2. It's equal to or greater than, so that means he is bloodied. Also, as a bonus, Sal gets to collect 1 determination token, clearly happy with the fact that she hit the wizard on her first try. When a character is bloodied, we can just put the bloodied token right next to them and make sure it follows them around wherever they go. Alternatively, you could put it on their character card, just a matter of preference. Now that Sal has gone, we'll hop back over to the wizards and they will do their next activation. With Harlow hurt, it's important that Hector gets off his healing spell to try and heal him. But in order to do so, the wizards need more determination. To get more determination, one of these characters is going to need to do the ready action. The ready action allows that character to roll a number of dice equal to their aptitude stat, and then for any hit or determination results they get, they can collect 1 determination token. This is also an action that can be used to help get rid of the shaken result, and you can spend up to 3 of the hits that you get during a ready action in order to discard any shaken result you may have. If you do that, you can't also take determination from those hit results. Because we want Hector to be able to still do his healing spell, we're going to go ahead and use Hilda in order to do this ready action. Because Hilda has an aptitude of 8, we'll roll 8 dice. Alright, this is looking pretty good. So we have 6 hit results here, so that means we can collect 6 determination tokens. These tokens will go just near the wizard's cards, and that way we'll remember that any of them can use them for whatever they need to. Hopefully Hector to get off his healing spell. Because Hilda used her action to do the ready action, she now still has her 4-inch movement. It looks like there's a mob of peasants coming from this way, and her magical attack spells will be helpful in holding them off of these 3 objectives over here. So she's going to go ahead and start just making her way forward. She'll move 3 inches up to here, and then she's going to duck in 1 inch after seeing what those arrows did to Harlow. The wizards aren't the only ones with traits that require determination to use. In this case, Hans has a trait that allows him to have all of the friendly characters within 8 inches move along with him when he uses a run action. But we're going to need determination in order to do that. And Dill is the one who's been elected to do so. So Dill's going to go ahead and roll his low aptitude of 4. Alright, Dill did not do bad. He clearly sees some advantage that he can pass on to the rest of his teammates. And we can also imagine that this is Hans believing that his comrades on the other side of the field are going to carry out the plan he has set for them. So in this case, with this result, 3 hits and a D, we can collect 4 determination tokens for the peasants. In the same way as Hilda, Dill can now make his 4-inch move that he gets as part of his regular activation. He's going to go ahead and move up this way and start heading down that side of the battlefield. Just like the dog, Igor has the fast trait. This allows him to move an extra 2 inches for free whenever he uses the run action. So Igor is going to take advantage of that, and he's going to go ahead and move 4 inches up to here. And then as part of his run action, he will get to move 6 inches, which will get him, oh, so close. We do have some determination tokens to spend, and Hector's healing spell only costs 3. So I think we're going to go ahead and spend 3 of those determination tokens, and that will allow Igor to get that extra 2-inch burst of speed, so that will easily get him up to this objective marker, where he will then use the free interact action to flip it over, and then we'll use another D6 to mark that Igor is carrying an objective. Now that we're back to the peasants, in a predictable repeat of prior events, Slim is going to take a shot at the now exposed Igor. Similarly to his comrade Sal, he has better chances of hitting at a further distance. However, he's partially in cover from this because the edge of this little tomb outcropping is blocking him. So in order to avoid that extra red penalty die for cover, Slim is going to move up to his 4 inches first in order to get just past that and have a clear shot right at Igor. He won't get the green aim bonus, but Igor will not get his red penalty die either. Igor has an armor of 2, so we'll be rolling 2 yellow armor dice for him. And Slim has a range stat of 5, so we'll be rolling 5 action dice for him. At this stage, either player could choose to spend determination tokens in order to replace any of their dice with upgraded dice, which would be red for the yellows or blue or green for the whites. But both sides really want to hang on to their determination at this point in order to use traits later on. So they're going to go ahead and stick with this and roll it. We've measured the range, and we can see that Igor is just over 10 inches away, which again puts him in the medium range band, which means that Slim needs 2 hits to hit. All right, so if we go ahead and look here, it seems like both sides picked up a determination, so that's nice. However, this dodge cancels out this hit, and we're left with just 1 hit and 1 pierce. And that is not enough to meet Slim's ranged target number of 2 at medium, so the shot goes wide and probably sticks in the barrel next to Igor. Unfortunate for them. At this stage, either character could choose to spend determination to re-roll dice, and that would be at a cost of 3 determination per die being re-rolled. However, again, they're going to save that, so we won't do that at this time. Back to the wizards, Hector is keen on healing Harlow now that he's bloodied, but in order to do that, he needs to be within 3 inches. And unfortunately, using the magical healing spell counts as an action, so Hector is not going to be able to do that this turn. But he can go ahead and move 4 inches, which will get him up to here, and then he can run, which will take him another 4 inches, right over to here. Hector won't be able to heal Harlow this turn, but he's in a prime position to be able to do so next turn. Alright, now that the peasants have some determination saved up, Hans is going to go ahead and use his Sound the Advance trait. This allows him to use a run action and then allow all friendly characters within 8 inches to also perform a run action. That costs him 3 determination, so we'll go ahead and spend that 3 determination, put it back in the pool. So Hans is going to go ahead and use his run action, and anyone within 8 inches of him at the beginning of that will be able to do so as well, which is going to be all 4 of these other characters. So Hans will start. He is going to move his 4 inches as part of his run action and get to there. Slim is going to continue to advance up to here. He still wants to stay kind of far back though because of the bow being a little bit better at further ranges. Zane is going to follow his leader Hans and do his run action. Ol Yeller is going to head over towards Slim, and Squirrely Sam is going to go straight forward and try to get up and over this. This is going to be climbing, which will cost double the movement, so he's not got enough to get up there, but he'll be able to do that during his own activation. Using the run action was just the first part of Hans' activation, so he can now do his normal 4-inch move. So he'll go ahead and do that and bring himself right up to there. All right, the Wizards only have 1 character left to activate, and that's Sven, and he's going to go ahead and try to run and grab this objective over here. So he'll be able to go 4 inches to start with, and we'll just have him head this direction towards this door over here, and then he'll go another 4, which looks like it will get him just outside the door. Not bad. He is now very close to getting that objective, but he'll have to wait until next turn. Now that all of the Wizards' characters have gone, the peasants can just go ahead and run through the rest of their activations, of which they still have 4. So we'll go ahead and start with Zane. He's going to do his normal 4-inch movement, and then he's going to go ahead and run another 4 inches. 2 to there, and 2 more will get him well on his way towards that objective. Squirrely Sam's going to do the same, but he's going to climb, so that's going to be 2 inches up to get to there, and then 2 more inches to there. That's his 4 inches of movement. He can then go another inch to get to the edge here. The 1 inch down will count as 2 inches again because he needs to climb vertical surfaces, and then he can move 1 more inch. He is so close, but not quite to that objective. He sees some juicy books that he wants to stab with that pitchfork. Ol Yeller's going to go ahead and follow suit. He's going to move his 4 inches and then run another 4. And then last but not least, we have Burly Bill. He's not particularly good in combat or anything, so he's going to go ahead and use his turn to also try to generate some determination. So he'll roll his 4 dice for his aptitude of 4. We can see that he just got 2 hits and 1 determination, so that'll be 3 determination tokens. Not too bad for the town drunk. Then he'll go ahead and just do his normal movement of 4 inches and get right up behind Dill there. All right, with turn 1 done, we're going to go ahead and change our turn counter over to 2. That'll help us keep track. We're going to play 5 turns or until one of the sides completes their objective. Right now, it's looking pretty much like anybody's games. We've got some peasants over here about to get to and destroy a few objectives, but the Wizards already have a couple. However, Harlow's definitely not in a good spot right now, with Scruff bearing down on him and a bloody token already, so we'll have to see how this goes. We're now gonna move into the recovery phase. During the recovery phase, any character who had a shaken token would be able to roll an aptitude test, and with at least 3 hits, they'd get rid of that shaken token. However, nobody is shaken, so we don't need to do that, and we will then move on to the opposed aptitude test in order to determine who's gonna go first in turn 2. All right, the peasants still have a highest aptitude of 6 with Hans, so they're gonna go ahead and roll 6 dice. Wow, they are very determined to take out these enemy Wizards. So that's 2, 4, 5 plus a determination token. Then we'll go ahead and roll the 8 for the Wizards. And the Wizards, unfortunately, are a little less motivated. They're only picking up 3 hits, so the Peasants 5 is going to win that, but they also grabbed a determination token. So we'll grab those from the supply and then get started with the Peasants' first activation. Seeing the opportunity to take advantage of the fact that Harlow already has a bloodied token, Scruff is going to start the activations for the peasants, and he's going to move and then charge. His movement will take him 2 inches right up to the hedge. In order to cross an obstacle that's less wide than your base, it costs 2 inches. So that'll be 2 more inches, so that's the full 4-inch move of Scruff, and then he can charge as an action, which will let him move up to an additional 4 inches into base contact with an enemy, which will easily get him that last little bit to get into base contact with Harlow. Now, we'll carry out a melee attack action, which is free at the end of a charge action. Carrying out a melee attack is pretty much the same thing as a ranged attack, except you'll be using the melee stat and you'll be using the melee target number for whatever weapon. In this case, it's Scruff's dog teeth, which has a melee target number of 1. So he only needs 1 hit, but he's got a melee target number of only 4. So he's gonna be rolling 4 dice, and Harlow is going to be rolling yellow armor dice equal to his armor of 2. All right, so if we take a look here, we've got 1 dodge, which cancels a hit, and we've got 1 block, which cancels a pierce. So between these 2 dice, it removes this whole die. And then over here, we have 2 hits, which is equal to or greater than the weapon's melee target number of 1, and 2 pierces, which unfortunately is equal to or greater than Harlow's armor. Unfortunately for Harlow, that means he's going to get a bloodied token. And because he already has one, those 2 bloodied tokens are going to stack into an out of action result. And that means he's removed from the board. We'll pull him off, and then the objective he was carrying will get dropped right where he was standing. So another character could come pick that up. But things are not looking good for the Wizards right now. They just lost a very vital component of their warband. Now onto the Wizards activation. Igor is eager to avoid a similar fate as his master Harlow, so he is going to go ahead and take the objective token that he has and just run for it. He can move his normal 4 inches and get around to here, and then move another 4 inches as a run action and get right to the board edge. At this point, Igor can use his interact free action in order to drop his objective off the board, thus scoring it, which means that the Wizards only need to grab 3 more objectives in order to secure a victory here. Back over to the peasants, Sal's going to take advantage of the fact that Hector has revealed himself in an attempt to heal Harlow. So she's going to use her regular movement to move over into line of sight, getting past her colleagues there. And again, this is going to remove her aim bonus, so she won't be getting that green bonus die, but she now has a clear line of sight all the way to Hector across the board there. Taking a quick measurement, we can see that that's well over 8 inches, but not over 18. So that's going to be in medium range again, which is going to be a target number of 2 if we remember from last time. Luckily for Hector, these bushes are definitely going to offer him cover, so he will get to add a red die to his defense pool. So Sal will roll her 5 dice equal to her ranged stat, and Hector will roll his 2 yellow dice equal to his armor, plus the red for being in cover. All right, so if we look at those results, this dodge will cancel that hit, and we're left with 1 hit and 1 pierce. And unfortunately, that's not enough to equal or exceed Sal's target number at medium range of 2, so the shot sticks in the bush. On the plus side, the Wizards did grab 2 determination from this roll, and the peasants did grab 1. As the Wizards begin their next activation, Hilda has an eye for revenge. She's gonna go ahead and move into line of sight over here, and she's got a lot of determination left that she's gonna be able to burn. So she's gonna move right to here, and then use her magical explosion trait. The magical explosion trait allows her to pick a point anywhere within 12 inches, which that's 6, so yeah, we got all sorts of room. And then anyone within 2 inches of that point will be targeted by this attack. So we're gonna pick this point right behind or right around this magical pillar. We may even imagine that she's calling out the magic from that pillar and exploding onto them. And so both of them are 2 inches from that point, so both Zane and Hans will be hit by this attack. So as we can see on this character card, Magical Explosion costs 4 determination tokens. So we'll go ahead and spend that. The Wizards have 7, so that's easy. So we can also see that this Magical Explosion acts as a ranged attack. However, we get to use our aptitude instead of our ranged stat. So that's great for Hilda, who has an aptitude of 8. And in this case, the target number is going to be 3. And we'll roll this separately for each of the targets. The other nice thing about this is that D results can count as a hit or a pierce. So this can be potentially a very powerful attack. All right, we'll go ahead and start with Zane. So that'll be 8 action dice for Hilda's explosion, equal to her aptitude. And Zane has a measly armor of 1, so he's only gonna get 1 yellow die. Again, characters could spend determination right now in order to upgrade their dice, but neither of them are gonna do that. All right, so this could be a really sad roll if it was a normal attack. But again, because this is a magical attack, these D results can count as either hits or pierces. If we remember, our target number is 3. So we can use 3 of these to count as hits, and then we can use 1 of these to count as a pierce, which will equal Zane's armor of 1, and he has no results here on his defense die. So we can still even collect a determination from this last one, and that's gonna be a bloodied result on Zane. Moving on to Hans, he's a little bit better with an armor of 2, so he's gonna get 2 yellow dice. And because the peasants are a little more worried about Hans surviving, or at least Hans is, he's gonna spend 3 determination tokens to upgrade 1 of those to a red. All right, this it's not looking too good for Hans. So we definitely have the 3 hits we need in order to get that target number of 3. However, we do have 1 dodge and 1 block, so that'll cancel out this whole die. Here we can see we have 3 hits left and only 1 pierce. So we've made the target number and hit the target, but we don't have enough pierce results to cause a bloodied result. So in this case, it'll become shaken. Also, Hans will collect 1 other determination, clearly convinced that he is the chosen one. All right, that was a pretty brutal attack, so we're gonna go ahead and add those damage tokens. Remember, Zane was bloodied and Hans was shaken. Back over to the peasants, Old Yeller is ready to go trash some wizardy stuff, so he is gonna use his move action to move up to this objective token, and then use the interact free action to destroy it. So they've gone ahead and destroyed their first of 6. Then he'll use the run action, and he is going to continue on towards where the next objective is. So he'll run around these barrels and head this direction. All right, so because Scruff and Sal have already gone, Hector is not in any immediate danger. So he's gonna go ahead and forego his turn right now. And Sven is gonna go ahead and grab this objective and head for the board edge. So Sven's only an inch away, so he'll use 1 of his inches of movement and flip this, grabbing 1 of those. We'll go ahead and put the die on his card to indicate that. And then he will continue his movement, which is 3 inches, which will get him to here. He's angling a little bit over towards this next objective in the hopes of getting off, and then grabbing that one as well. And then he can go ahead and do a run action to get another 4 inches, which will get him right up to here. Incensed at the audacity of the witch, Zane is going to go ahead and move and then charge. So again, his move action can take him up to 4 inches, and he'll go ahead and stop in base contact with this objective, use the interact free action to destroy it, which gets them 2 out of their 6 objectives, and he will then use the charge action, which can go another 4 inches up into base contact. Gotta remember to take his bloody token with him, but now he will use his free melee attack action that comes at the end of a charge action. As a peasant with no formal combat training, Zane also only has a melee stat of 4, and Hilda has an armor of 2, so we'll go ahead and roll that. All right. Looks like Hilda has failed to roll anything on her defense dice. However, Zane has managed to get 2 hits, which is equal to the melee target number of his pitchfork. Because he doesn't have any pierces, this will just be a shaken result. So we'll go ahead and put that shaken result on Hilda, and then we will move back over to the wizard's activation, which in this case will just be Hector left. Fearing the vicious dog that just ate his friend, Hector is not interested in hanging around or trying to go grab that dropped objective token. Instead, he's gonna head for the other side of the board and try to grab one of those before the dog catches up with him. So that's gonna include him moving 4 inches this way and then using another action. As Hector moves across the battlefield, he sees this chest up here and considers grabbing it, but instead he decides that now would be a great time to use his moral support trait and try to pick up some more determination. The moral support trait means that every D result he rolls during a ready action will allow him to collect 2 determination in addition to the normal ones for hits. As with all ready actions, Hector will roll a number of action dice equal to his aptitude, in this case 8. All right, so that's not bad. So because of the moral support trait, this is gonna count as 2, and then we have 3, 4, 5, 6 from these other hits, so that's 6 more determination, which is plenty to work with. With Harlow now dead, all of the wizard characters have been activated, so the peasants can continue out the rest of their activations one right after the other. We'll go ahead and start with Burly Bill. He's gonna just do a move of 4 inches, which will get him right up to here, and then he's gonna do a run action, heading towards that lectern. Then Dill, next to him, is gonna head this direction, knowing that his friend there has control of that book, and he's gonna hopefully get over here and find some treasure, or maybe destroy this book over here. So he'll then do the run action, and that'll get him all the way up to these mushrooms. Back on the other side of the board, we still have Slim, Squirrely Sam, and Hans to go with. So we'll go ahead and start with Squirrely Sam. He just needs to move a couple more inches as part of his normal 4-inch movement to get to this objective marker, and he can use the interact free action to destroy it, bringing up the peasant's total to 3 out of 6. He then still has 3 more inches he can move, so he can go ahead and get up to there. And then he'll just go ahead and use the ready action to try and collect a few more determination tokens. He'll go ahead and roll 4 dice for his aptitude of 4. And wow, he is quite determined now that it seems like the tide may be turning with the death of Harlow. So he's picked up 4 more determination tokens for the peasants. All right, next up, Hans is going to follow up Zane and see if he can help out with Hilda. So he'll use his normal movement of 4 inches to get up to here, and then he will use a run action to run up right behind Zane. Clearly he didn't learn from before about those magical explosions, but who knows, maybe Zane will keep Hilda busy and she won't be able to. Seeing Igor rush off with some evil magical items, Slim takes aim with his bow and lets loose an arrow using his ranged attack action. Because he's not moving, he'll be able to get the aim bonus, which means replacing one of his action dice with a green bonus die. Being better with a bow than his comrades are with their pitchforks, Slim gets to roll 5 action dice. We'll replace one of those with a green, and then his target Igor, who's behind cover, will roll 2 equal to his regular armor, and then 1 red for being in cover. Unfortunately, it looks like Slim may have been partaking with Burly Bill before the battle. He doesn't have much going on here. He's got 1 hit and 1 pierce, but the pierce is blocked, and 1 hit is not enough to equal his range target number of 2 at medium range. So the shot sticks in the bushes. All right, now being at the end of turn 2, it's time to enter the recovery phase again. This time there actually are some people with shaken results, so they'll be able to do aptitude tests with a target number of 3 to see if they can recover from that shaken condition. In this case, that'll be Hilda as well as Hans. We'll start with Hans. He gets to roll his aptitude of 6. And lucky for him, he's got 3 hits, so he'll recover from that shaken token and gain 2 determination tokens. All right, and then Hilda will get to roll 8 dice to try and recover from her shaken condition. And she handily does it with 4 hits. However, she does not gain any additional determination. With the recovery phase complete, we'll now advance the turn tracker to turn 3, and then we will move on to the opposed aptitude test to see who starts turn 3. The Wizards will roll their highest aptitude, which is still 8. And they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. And then the Peasants' highest is still 6 with Hans, so they'll roll theirs. And they've only got 1, which again, they're picking up another determination, but that means the Wizards will go first. As the Peasants close in, the Wizards have some difficult decisions to make. They have the first activation, but are they going to use it to try to get away with Hector? Or will they use it to try to have Hilda do some damage to these Peasants before they attack her again? Having 2 people, Hans and Zane, within attacking charging distance can be really dangerous, because if they both get bloodied results, that could finish off Hilda. Given the additional danger, whereas over here we've just got the dog and maybe the bow. However, in this case, the imminent threat of Hans and Zane is going to make Hilda take the first turn. Hilda will use the withdraw action, which allows her to move back 4 inches. So it's about 3 to there, and then she'll duck 1 more inch over this direction. And then she's going to use her normal movement. So Hilda's movement, 3 inches, will get her right to this chest, so that means she's going to get to draw from the equipment deck. Drawing that top card looks like a relic, immediately gains 6 determination, so that's going to be really nice for the Wizards. They'll have plenty to work with now. And then that was just 3 inches of her movement, so she can go another 1. We'll also pull that crate off now that it's been opened. All right, and then, because of the plethora of available determination, Hilda will spend 3 and get to move an extra 2 inches, which will bring her right up to here. So she's pretty well and far away from these guys, unless they manage to do some shenanigans, but we'll see how that goes. With the Wizards having left Hector exposed, the Peasants, now onto their activation, are going to take advantage of that by using Scruff to attack. He's already touching in base contact with this other objective over here, so he'll start by using the interact free action to destroy it, bringing their total to 4 out of 6. They only need to grab 2 more here. And then Scruff will move his 4 inches, which will get him right up to here. And then he'll use the charge action, which will let him move an additional 4 inches up into base contact, where we will then do a melee attack action. Being a dog, Scruff only has 4 dice to attack with, but because it worked so well against Harlow, Hector is going to go ahead and spend 6 determination in order to upgrade both of his yellow defense dice into red dice. Similarly though, because the Peasants now also have quite a bit of determination, they're going to go ahead and spend 3 to upgrade one of Scruff's dice to a blue, which will give him a better chance of getting pierce results in the hopes that he hits with only needing a 1 for the melee target number of his dog teeth weapon. All right, we roll, and wow, not a lot going on either side. Looks like our 1 hit was canceled by Hector's 1 block, but there is still that pierce. At this point though, it's probably not worth the spends on re-rolls because we would need another hit and that would still only be a shaken result, so we'll just leave it as is, but we'll collect the determination. So that'll be 1 determination for the Wizards and 2 for the Peasants. Now that Hector has survived Scruff's attack, the Wizards are going to go ahead and take the opportunity to get Sven over to the edge of the board to where he can dump off his objective. So Sven's going to go ahead and move 2 inches as part of his normal movement. That'll get him up to the board edge. He will drop off his objective. So the Wizards have now gotten 2 off. Then he'll use 2 more inches of his regular move to get to here, and then use a run action, which will get him all the way up to here. All right, this is not looking good for the peasants right now. The wizards already have 2 of their 4 off, and Sven is close to getting the 3rd. Although the peasants do have 4 out of 6, so it's really anybody's game at this point. Unfortunately for the wizards, it looks like they weren't paying too close attention to this flank on this side. So Burly Bill's gonna go ahead and do his activation. He only needs to move 2 inches to get up to this objective token, the free interact action to destroy it, which brings their total to 5 out of 6. And then he can continue on, so he'll just run this way 2 more inches to complete his normal move, and then he'll run another 4, heading over towards Hector to see if he can help out Scruff. With no more objectives right nearby, Igor's gonna go ahead and turn his sights on Old Yeller back here. He'll go ahead and use 4 inches of movement to get to here, and then a charge action to move up to another 4 inches into base contact, and then get a free attack action. Being a bodyguard, Igor has a little bit of martial training, and he has a melee skill of 5, so he'll be rolling 5 action dice. Old Yeller, on the other hand, is a farmer in some really ratty clothes, so he's only going to get 1 yellow defense die. All right. Igor's big fists essentially count as a hand weapon, so he only needs 1 hit in order to successfully hit his target. In this case, he picked up 2 hits and a pierce result, and it looks like Old Yeller didn't get anything. So that's going to actually cause a bloodied result because his armor is only 1, so that's equal to or exceeding it, and then both sides will get a little bit of determination. Seeing that Sven is about to get another objective, Sal turns her sights on him, and being at long range, this is where she excels at, so her target number is only going to be 1 here. However, there's definitely cover in the way, so Sven is going to get that red bonus die in order to add to his defense dice. This is a big roll, so everyone's going to pull out all the stops. In Sal's case, that means spending 6 determination in order to replace 2 of her dice with blue dice, which will help her get those pierces that she needs. For Sven, he's going to go ahead and spend 3 determination to change one of his regular yellows into a red. So that's going to be 1 yellow and 2 red for Sven, and 3 white and 2 blue for Sal. All right, let's see what we got here. Lots of pierces, it looks like. Ooh, and no dodges. So we only needed 1 hit for long range for Sal's bow, so we definitely have that with our 3 here. However, we do have 2 blocks, so that cancels out this whole die here. And that leaves us with only 1 pierce, unfortunately. And that 1 pierce is not going to be enough to get through Sven's armor of 2. So this is just going to be a shaken result. However, Sven will get to pick up an extra determination as well. With the peasants close to victory and another objective just on the other side of this wall, Hector takes this opportunity to withdraw from his combat with Scruff, which allows him to move 4 inches, so that'll get him right into the corner of this building down on the 1st floor. And then he'll climb through the window, which costs 2 inches of movement for crossing an obstacle, and then he can use the run action to move another 2 inches and get all the way around here and pick up this objective. So we can go ahead and add that to his card using a die to indicate that. With determination to burn at this point, Hector decides he's going to spend 3 and move an extra 2 inches, hoping to get to that board edge and drop that off, but it may not be quite enough time. We'll see. As Dill makes his way down the board, he notices this pile of books over here. He can do his move plus a run action, and that easily gets him over there with those 8 inches. And then he'll go ahead and use his free interact action to destroy that objective marker. And that actually brings it to 6. Now that the peasants have achieved their primary objective of destroying 6 of these objective tokens, we will roll at the end of this turn during the recovery phase to see if there's an optional final turn or not. Otherwise, the peasants will walk away with their victory and the wizards will have lost. Once again, due to outnumbering the wizards, the peasants have several people left to go, so they'll go ahead and just do the rest of their activations back to back. All right, so starting with Hans, he's going to go ahead and use his Sound the Advance ability again, which again is 3 determination tokens, so he'll spend those back into the pool. And then he'll use a run action, and anyone within 8 inches of him can also use a run action, which looks like it'll be Squirrely Sam over here as well as Zane. So starting with Zane, he's going to do his run action. That'll get him right up to here, bringing his bloody token along with him. For Squirrely Sam, he's going to go ahead and head 2 inches closer to Igor. And then Hans is going to run 1 inch this way and 3 inches in this way, hoping to cut off the wizards as they try to escape the board. Having used his action to do the Sound the Advance trait, Hans is now going to do his normal movement. 2 inches gets him right up to that wall, and then it'll cost his other 2 inches to hop over. He's not quite close enough to attack Hilda, but maybe next turn. Having been given that extra burst of speed from Hans's Sound the Advance trait, it looks like Zane's now going to be within charge distance, so he'll use his normal 4-inch movement, which will get him right up to here, And then he's definitely within that 4-inch charge range, so he'll charge in with Hilda, making sure we keep his bloody token with him, and then he'll do his melee attack action. All right, so once again, Zane is gonna get his 4 action dice equal to his melee stat of 4 against Hilda's 2 yellow dice equal to her armor stat of 2. All right, not a whole lot going on there, just a swing and a miss. So that doesn't matter since Zane didn't get any hits, but both sides will grab a determination token. Back over here on the other side of the board, Squirrely Sam's gonna go ahead and use his activation to use the charge action to charge Igor. Squirrely Sam only has a melee stat of 4, but because Old Yeller is also in base contact with his target, he'll get to replace one of those with a green die for having an additional attacker. Igor, on the other hand, will take 2 yellow dice equal to his armor. All right, that was not a bad roll. However, it looks like the defender rolled equally well, so those both cancel out this. We just have 1 hit left, which is not equal to Squirrely Sam's target number of 2 with his pitchfork. However, he does get the consolation prize of a determination token. Continuing the onslaught of peasant actions, Old Yeller is now going to go and use his action to use the melee attack action against Igor as well, also getting that green bonus die for having Squirrely Sam there as well. All right, so this is going to be same song, second verse. Okay, so that's a little bit better for the peasants. So this block cancels out that pierce, but that still leaves 2 hits, which is equal to the pitchfork melee target number, so that'll be a shaken result on Igor. All right, the final peasant character left is Slim, and he might actually be able to grab a target of Hector way down there on the other side of the board. So he'll go ahead and use his move action to move 4 inches over to here. Then we'll get down and look behind him. Oh yeah, he's definitely got a nice shot at Hector, but he is gonna be in cover, so that will grant Hector that extra red die as part of his defense dice. Because Hector has an objective and is close to the board edge, this is a pretty important shot, but unfortunately for Slim, he doesn't have enough determination tokens to change any of his dice out for bonus dice. So this is just gonna be straight. 5 dice equal to his range stat against Hector's armor of 2 plus the red for cover. All right, and it looks like we've got 1 dodge there, which will cancel that hit. And then other than that, we just have 1 hit. But again, at long range, the bow only has a target number of 1, so that would be enough for a shaken token. However, the wizards have quite a bit of determination left, so they're gonna spend 3, and that's gonna allow them to re-roll their red die, which came up blank. So we'll go ahead and re-roll that. All right, and that's a block, but there was no pierces, so that didn't end up mattering. So that'll still be a shaken token on Hector. All right, so having reached the end of turn 3, and the peasants having already achieved their objective of destroying 6 of these objective markers, we now need to roll an opposed aptitude test to see if there's going to be 1 more turn to give the wizards a chance to still secure a draw. So that means the wizards are going to roll 8 equal to their highest aptitude. And they did all right. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. And then they'll collect 2 determination tokens as well. And then Hans, who still has his aptitude of 6, is going to go ahead and roll and see if he can't beat that 4. He doesn't. He's only got 2. So that means the wizards get to choose if they want to do 1 more turn or not. Obviously, because they're in a losing state right now, they're going to go ahead and choose to do that final turn. Because we are playing a final turn, we'll go ahead and do the recovery phase for turn 3, which means any character who is currently shaken has the opportunity to try and become unshaken. So that's going to be Igor, Hector, and Sven. All right, starting with Hector, who's got an aptitude of 8. We need 3 hits, which we definitely do, and pick up 2 additional determination. Moving on to Igor, who's got 5. Ooh, he only gets 2 hits though, so he's gonna be remaining shaken. And then finally Sven, who also has an aptitude of 5. And he also remains shaken, but does pick up 1 determination token. All right, things are close as we're about to start turn 4. Hector has an objective and is really close to the board edge, so if he can just get there and drop it with the free interact action, that'll be 1 more, which will put the wizards at 3 out of 4. Unfortunately for the peasants, it doesn't look like they're in a very good position to stop him, but if they manage to grab the initiative, they might just do it. But before we start this final turn, we need to see who will go first. So, starting with the wizards, they'll roll 8 for their highest aptitude stat. They get 2, 4, 6, 7. Wow, all right. So Hans can't beat that, but let's see if he can get at least some determination from this roll. So the peasants will roll their highest aptitude, which is 6. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, that was really close and a great roll, but not enough to beat the wizards 6, but the peasants will pick up 1 determination token. As the wizards start their first activation of turn 4, the obvious choice is going to be Hector, who already has an objective in hand, and he's really close to the board edge. So he's going to go ahead and just do his normal move of 4 inches up to here, and then use a run action to get the rest of the way to the board edge. And then he'll use the interact free action to drop off his objective, and that will score it. So the wizards are now at 3 out of their 4 objectives. He'll then use his last 2 inches to just move back a little bit towards these trees. Over to the peasants, Sal hopes that her keen eye can help stop Sven, so she lines up a shot, again with cover, but at long range she only needs 1 hit to hit. The peasants have 5 determination available as Sal lines up her shot, so she's going to go ahead and spend 3 of that in order to replace 1 of her action dice with a blue bonus die, hoping to get that bloodied result. Sven, on the other hand, will just have his 2 armor dice plus 1 red for being in cover. Alright, what do we got here? So this dodge and this block are going to cancel out this hit and pierce, which leaves us with 2 hits and 2 determination. So that's going to be enough to get a shaken result, and because Sven wasn't able to recover from his shaken result during the previous recovery phase, that's going to stack into a bloodied result. And also, the peasants will pick up 2 determination tokens. Luckily for Sven, he's still in a pretty good position, so as we move back to the wizard's activation, he's going to go ahead and do his. It's only about an inch to get up here to this objective marker, which he can then flip and pick up, so we'll put that die on his card to remember. And then he can continue his move, which is 3 more inches, which he'll just head straight back towards the table edge here. All right, and then he will use the run action to get himself right up to the table edge. Unfortunately, despite Sven's valiant effort, he doesn't have the opportunity to drop off the objective here because he already used his interact free action this turn in order to pick up the objective. So he's not able to drop it off. So this is not looking good for the wizards. Moving back to the peasants, Hans is going to go ahead and activate. He's going to use a charge action and charge in to Hilda. Hans has a melee stat of 5, but his magical sword is already upgraded with 3 bonus dice. And those are 2 blues and a green, so we'll just replace 3 of those to start with. Also, Zane is engaged with the same target as Hans, so we get to replace another one with a green to represent the assistance that Zane is offering. For Hilda's part, she's going to spend 6 determination tokens to upgrade both of her yellow defense dice to red dice. So now we'll go ahead and roll all of this and see what happens. Alright, wow, I'm seeing a lot of D results here. Alright, this dodge cancels 1 hit, but this block isn't doing anything right now. But the sword special rule allows it to reroll 1 die automatically during any melee attack action. We already have the 1 hit that we need, but we really need more pierces. So we're going to go ahead and reroll that blue D in the hopes that we'll get those pierces. Alright, and we got 2 pierces. Fortunately, one of them's getting blocked, so that's not going to be enough. So that leaves us with collecting 3 determination tokens for the peasants and a shaken result for Hilda. But it's now back to the wizard's turn, and Hilda is going to run away because this is not a fight she is eager to win. Unfortunately, because her magical attack spells count as ranged attacks, she can't use them in melee. And because she has to use the withdraw action to leave, she also can't use a ranged attack action to cast her spells. Nevertheless, it'll be safer if she runs, so she's going to go ahead and disengage with the withdraw action and move 4 inches, and then run another 4 inches just to be safe over by Hector. Zane, however, is in hot pursuit, and he is going to move 4 inches and then do the charge action to move another 4 inches into base contact. And then he will attack with his pitchfork. Unlike the magical sword of his leader, Zane just has a normal pitchfork, so he's going to not have any bonus dice, and Hilda will just leave her 2 armor dice yellow. Alright, well, it looks like Zane did alright. He got 2 hits, which is what the target number for his pitchfork is in melee, so that will cause a shaken result, and because Hilda's already shaken, that'll stack into a bloodied result. Igor is the final character in the Wizard's Warband to go, so he's going to go ahead and activate, and he's going to try to clobber Old Yeller. He's already bloodied, so if he can get a solid hit on him, he might be able to take him out of action. Igor is going to roll 5 action dice equal to his melee stat, and Old Yeller is going to roll 1 yellow equal to his armor, plus 1 yellow for having Squirrely Sam there to help him out. Alright, so we've got 1 dodge, which will cancel out that hit, but that leaves us with 2 hits. Igor only needs 1 to hit with his big fists, and 1 pierce is equal to Old Yeller's armor of 1. So that's going to be a bloodied result, which will stack with his existing bloodied result, knocking him out of action. With all of the wizard activations done, we'll move back to the peasants, and they'll just finish out the rest of their activations. Unfortunately for the wizards, it looks like the peasants have secured a victory. They've managed to pillage 6 objectives, whereas the wizards have only managed to evacuate 3. And with no more characters left to activate, it looks like this game's a foregone conclusion. However, we're going to finish playing it out for the sake of process, and if this was a campaign game, any of the actions taken may end up pertaining to longer term consequences. So we'll go ahead and just keep moving people and see what happens. Fortunately, I don't think Sal is gonna be able to get into line of sight anywhere of anybody, so she'll just run along here. Likewise, Scruff is just gonna go ahead and run 6 inches and then another 2 inches. Oh, he's fast, so I'll actually go another 4 inches. Everyone heading over that direction. Burly Bill is gonna go and open up this treasure chest. We'll see what he finds in there. For Burly Bill, looks like sharpened tips. This would give him 2 bonus dice when he does a ranged attack, but that's obviously not gonna be helpful for Burly Bill, and definitely not at this stage in the game. So then he'll just finish out his activation, moving along. Dill is gonna go ahead and run back around here and open up that crate. We'll see what he finds in there. He also finds sharpened tips. Exciting stuff. I guess they can use that to sharpen their pitchforks and then maybe throw them at somebody sometime. So we'll go ahead and pull those crates off now that those have been opened. And then Dill can just continue his move over towards this weird skeleton dude. We've got Slim all the way over here. And due to all of these trees and cover, it doesn't look like he's gonna be able to see anybody either. So he'll go ahead and just run 4 and then move 4. All right, so at this point, we only have 2 more people left to go with, Hans and Squirrely Sam, but they both might be able to do melee attacks. And again, in a campaign game, any damage done here could have lasting consequences. So Hans will start by doing his 4-inch move. He'll then use 3 determination tokens in order to get that burst of speed and go an extra 2 inches, which will get him to here. And he can then use the charge action in order to move 4 more inches into base contact. So again, because of Hans' magic sword, he'll already upgrade 3 of his 5 action dice for the 2 blue and a green, but then also because Zane is there distracting Hilda, he'll replace another one with a green. And then Hilda just gets 2 yellow, and unfortunately the wizards are out of determination at this point by the looks of it, so that's all she's gonna get. All right. Unfortunately for Hans, it doesn't look like he did enough to get that bloodied result and take her out of action. This block will cancel out that pierce, leaving just 2 hit results. However, Hans does have the opportunity to re-roll one of these dice for free because that is the special ability of a sword, so he'll re-roll this blue one. And he grabs a pierce, but again, Hilda has an armor of 2 and she already canceled one of them, so that's not gonna be enough. So that'll just be a shaken and not take her out of action. But the peasants will pick up that extra determination. And then finally, back over to Squirrely Sam. It's unlikely that he's gonna knock this guy out of action because he only has a shaken token right now, but we'll see what he does. Squirrely Sam has a melee stat of 4, and Igor has 2 armor. The peasants do have some determination, so Squirrely Sam's gonna spend 3 of that in order to upgrade to a blue, hoping to get those pierces and get that bloodied result. Unfortunately, he doesn't even get the 2 hits that he needs with his pitchfork in order to get a hit, so nothing happens here for an anticlimactic end of the mission. Alright, so here at the end of turn 4, it looks like we've got a clear victor. The peasants have managed to pillage 6 of these objective tokens, succeeding at their primary objective, whereas the wizards have only managed to escape with 3, meaning they have failed at their primary objective, which means the peasants, which are player B in this mission, have won. Thanks for taking the time to check out this mission overview of Mission 5, Evacuate and Pillage. Hopefully it gave you a good idea of how this game can play out, and it was a pretty interesting thing seeing 2 very different sized war bands, and ultimately when it came down to it, it was pretty close. If you decide to try this mission out, we'd love to hear about it and see some pictures, so be sure to reach out to us if you do.